was almost sure I recorded. Okay, good. Okay, there was a slight interruption from the previous class for some reason, technical difficulties. Now we're back to yeah to learning the Dvar Malchut. Okay, what do we say the Dvar Malchut? The Dvar Malchut, we're talking about Moshiach, and Moshiach is called a leper, a Metzora. And according to the teachings of Kabbalah, this is because the whole idea of the spiritual leprosy is a very, very high thing. It's tremendously high. It's showing that God really cares about us. 1 second. Hello. Ani b'emsa shi'ur, od sha'a. Okay. That's the idea of Tzoraat HaMetzora. The Tzoraat HaMetzora. That's why it says Tzoraat HaMetzora. It doesn't say Taharat HaMetzora. Tzoraat HaMetzora, because the only way that we can fix up what's missing in the world is through the Torah. Is there something that you're doing? Why? Because when a person learns the Torah, it has to be in surrender to the giver of the Torah. Like King David said, my soul is like dirt. We said in our prayers, we say, my soul is like dirt to everyone. And by means of that, you open my heart to your Torah. That by means of total surrendering yourself to the giver of the Torah, to God, who's also our creator, then you become a vessel for the Torah. And that is the cure for this Tzoraat. So Tzoraat in simple English is selfishness. And the cure for selfishness is the Torah. The Torah is like the hypodermic needle. And the medicine which is in the hypodermic needle inside of the Torah is pure godliness. God is giving the Torah right now. This is the then you become the highest level, you can receive the Torah. So that's what's called Tiferet, beauty. Like we say, Tiferet zu matan Torah. It says when God gave the Torah, he gave beauty and balance into the world. Because what is the Torah? The Torah is a book, and it's written by God. A book is a physical thing in the world, and God is the creator of the spiritual. How can you bring that into the world? So it has to be, this is two total opposites. So the uniting of two opposites can only be done by something which unifies and harmonizes both of them. And that's what the Torah does. It harmonizes and unifies between the essence of God and this physical world. And therefore it has the power of the Torah to join these two opposites, which are called rotzoi, wanting to go to God, and shuv, and wanting to come back to the world. That even the upper lights of God will be drawn down into vessels. And by means of this, will be negated any possibility of selfishness or false egotism until that becomes the opposite. In the time of the temple, it was revealed in impurity of negoim, of this leprosy, spiritual leprosy. Kevin says that the Oros Elyonim, since that these upper lights of God, revelations of God, they're drawn down and revealed below. So what does it mean? I'll give you a simple example. Pain. Is pain a good thing? Of course it's not a good thing. Well, pain is a terrible thing. I just, a good friend of mine told me a story yesterday that when he got married, this was like 35 years ago. So his brother came to the wedding. His brother is from Mexico. They're both from Mexico. And his brother came especially for the wedding. And his brother is a person that's not a rich person, but he's well off. But he himself was very poor. And his brother paid for the whole wedding. Wonderful, wonderful guy. Paid for the whole wedding, all the expenses and everything. His brother's not rich. It was an effort for his brother, but he did it, paid for the whole entire wedding to help his brother out. In the dancing of the wedding, everybody was dancing and they were happy. Somebody knocked into his brother in his leg, just, dancing, no big deal. Maybe somebody lifted their leg up and they kicked him. So it's a little thing and it hurt, but the pain didn't go away. It didn't go away. Pain didn't go away. And he couldn't figure out what's wrong. Pain, nobody wants pain. So he went to a doctor to figure out what's going on. After the pain was there for a month, the doctor checked and he had a malignant tumor exactly where this person kicked him. And if he wouldn't have kicked him, it would have been too late. He wouldn't have realized it. So the doctor, when they removed the tumor, and he lived another 35 years. The person just passed away just recently. The brother. That's what. So is pain a good thing or is pain a bad thing? Right? It's a bad thing, a terrible thing. What's a pain is a bad thing. But on the other hand, such a pain like this that indicates that something is wrong, it's an amazing gift from God. An amazing gift from God. If you wouldn't have had this pain, you wouldn't have known. Right? By the time this tumor would have started to hurt him, if at all it would have hurt him, it would have been too late to reveal. It would have gone into his blood system. Who knows what? So sometimes that's what's happening over here. Because if a Jew is an egotist, if he's a selfish, if he is, that's destructive, that's self-destructive. Egotism is self-destructive. And you don't feel it. You don't understand it. You think you're doing right. You think you're 100% okay. You're living your life, right? But in fact, you're separating yourself from the source of all life. You're separating yourself from truth. I think nowadays it's like just blatantly and ridiculously obvious with this whole woke movement in the world. It's just a pro-death movement. It's an obvious self-imploding movement. It's against birth and it's against family. It's against society. They support Hamas, which is just a pure terrorist organization, never did anything good in their life. They support them, right? It's just pure destruction in the name of egotism, selfishness. If I want to, it's good. That's disease. That's the opposite of life. It's the opposite of truth. But you don't realize it until it starts to pain. You don't realize it. So it says that's what happened in the time of the temple. If a Jew got into this egotism, if he got into false egotism, selfishness, is immediately there would come a sign in his skin, something's wrong. So it's a sign that God cares. God cares. So if so, it's a tremendously high light of God that reveals this impurity. So now we can understand, revealing the whole idea of exile and redemption. Nigei Matzora, this whole idea of the blight, the impurity of a Matzora and his purification. Galut, exile, is a disease. But it's that type of a disease that shows us that something is wrong. God is telling us, it's a concealment of the light of God. Like it says, Otiotenu, lo re'inu, we don't see any miracles until the darkness, and especially the double darkness in the end of the time of exile. This is deep darkness. Orot Elyoni, the highest lights which are above any sort of revelation in vessels, until levels which are above any revealing at all. That's what's called a Yoshet Choshech Sitro, that God makes darkness his dwelling place, his hiding place. In other words, God, of course, is above understanding. We can't understand how God creates the spiritual. What is that? We don't understand the spiritual. If God creates that, that same God creates us. And the whole business that there's a creator and that there's spiritual and that there's purpose, the whole thing is concealed from us. And not only is it concealed from us, we don't even know it's concealed. We think that this is all there is. Because God is so caring and so infinitely high, and so his love is so infinite, it comes down below this concealment, choshech, darkness, that from this comes all of the bad things which are in the time of exile. But all of this is just a sign. It's just a sign that we have to get ourselves together. And it's a very big mistake, by the way, of thinking that because there's exile, because there was a Holocaust, It's because of the fault of the Jews. It's not the fault of the Jews, it's the fault of me. The Jews do whatever the Jews do, but it's my fault. If you see a Jew doing something wrong, the fault is not in that Jew. The fault is in me. I'm supposed to do something a little bit more because I can't control what another person does. Right? I can tell him he's making a mistake. And in fact, that's a commandment. You see somebody doing something wrong, you're supposed to try to tell him. But you have to tell him in a way that you hope the person will change, and even more that it'll change you yourself. And it says that if you tell a person he's doing something wrong and he doesn't take your advice, then the problem is with you. It says, yotzim min halev, nichnasim lalev. If the words that you say are genuine, then it'll have an effect. Okay, maybe not an immediate effect. You get people, but if you tell a person, hey, you should keep Shabbos, you should put on tefillin, and he doesn't do it, it's a sign not that there's something wrong with him, it's a sign there's something wrong with you. Which is much easier to point the finger at somebody else and then just say, okay, I leave my responsibility as I did my job. So it means that it comes down below. This is a sign to each one of us that we have to change ourselves. Since that the source of all of this bad really is very, very high, tremendously high lights of godliness. Therefore, after it comes down into this world and it becomes concealed and hidden, the Inyan, which seems to be exactly the opposite of good, is it's only external. It's the lowest levels and that we have to fix up. Therefore, Gam Atikun, how can we fix this up? By means of Masenu V'Avodotenu, by our work and our service of God all the time of exile. Specifically when we are in the exile. We don't have to do anything brand new. All we have to do is just fix up a little bit our minds, our hearts. We have to understand, why is it that God put us into this terrible exile? Why? It's not because to point fingers at somebody else. You know the old saying, they say when you point fingers at somebody else, you have three fingers pointing back at yourself. So if so, what is it? Not by means of negating the bad, but by means of doing good. Hafichas Golos legeula. A lot of people now, we see, there's a lot of anti-Semitism in the world now. It's become very popular thing. And anti-Semitism is very popular in the world. Never been such a thing in the history of the world. It's never been so popular. Anti-Semitism. It's always been there, but now it's like all coming to the surface. It's like, oh, I hate Jews. That's you really. I see I guess you're a better person than I thought. I thought maybe you like the Jews. Me like the Jews. I can't stand them. I hate them. I see you are really a very sensitive and a proper person. You hate the Jews. Yes, well, I hate the Jews too. Oh, you're also wonderful. We'll give you a television program, a radio program. Everybody's going to know your name. I hate the Jews. Hey, don't forget about me. I also hate the Jews. So everybody's hating the Jews. It's a big thing. So what are we supposed to do about it? We're supposed to do it. Point them all out and call them out for what they are. They are anti-Semites. Forget it. You want to call them out, do that. But do it that after you fix yourself up. After you fix yourself up. Right? If you see bad in somebody else and they don't see their own bad, it's a sign that you also don't see your own bad. I don't see my own bad. So what do you have to do? You have to do more. You have to draw down more good. Just put the letter Aleph into the exile. Put the letter Aleph, which is light, Aluf or Shalom. Put a little bit more godliness into your personal life. Do Torah, learn more Torah, do more commandments, have more love of God, more love of your fellow man, more love of the Torah, more love of the commandments, more positivity. Then you transform from Gola, the exile, into Geula, the letter Aleph, redemption. Orot Elyonim, very high lights, which are above any sort of revelation. Yoshet Choshech Sitro, you realize, you bring into the world a level of godliness which is totally above any comprehension, that by means of our deeds and our work the whole time of exile, we bring about that also these high lights of God, which are above any sort of revelation, will be drawn down into this physical world. And by means of this, it will be negated automatically any possibility of concealment of God, etc. So the idea of how we can solve all of our problems is by means of fighting and taking up arms and doing this. It's a very nice idea. They had this idea when they left Egypt, when they got up to the sea. So it says that the sea was in front of them. They didn't know what to do. The Egyptians were approaching. So one group of Jews said, let's go back to Egypt. And another group said, let's pray. And another group said, let's fight. And all of them were okay. One wanted to make peace and the other one wanted to get close to God. And that's not what they were supposed to do. They were just supposed to do good. Just keep going. There's a sea there. That's God's problem. You just go straight. Do more good. Be more pleasant. Someone once told me, if you ever argue with the leftists like to get into your face, and Israel is packed with the whole Israel, the very foundation of Zionism and Israel and the government of Israel, they're all fighting for the government and Israeli government and Zionism. And Zionism, in a way, is supporting our biggest enemies. They're the ones that gave away all this land to the Egypt. Right? So one of these people, they get in your face. It says the worst thing if you argue with the leftists is to get angry. That's what they want, is that you should get angry. You get angry, you lost. It makes you angry. It says makes you angry. But if you really believe in what's true, then you're not going to get angry. You're just going to say your point. Forget about the person. Let's deal just with the ideas. The ideas shouldn't make you angry. The ideas are ideas. They have the wrong idea. You have the right idea. Say the right idea. But your right idea is supposed to make you a good person, not an angry person. So how are you going to be a good person? If it's Judaism, good person is only if you do the commandments and learn the Torah and you do it the way that God wants. That will have a positive effect on the whole rest of your personality and also on the place and where you are in the world and the people that are around you. It'll be a little bit of positivity in this negative world. That means putting the little aleph into the exile. And by means of this, it brings that these high, tremendous revelations of God will be drawn into the world. And this is because of what? Surrender and self-sacrifice that it is stressed, especially in the time of exile. When the Jewish people had the Holy Temple, is it didn't have to be very self-sacrificing. Now that there's exile, we have to be self-sacrificed. The Rebbe made a speech about it was the last, what's called mamar, that was published, that was advertised by the Rebbe. It was a mimer which was called Ata Tetzaveh. And in it, he pointed out a very interesting thing. He said that Chabad is composed of a lot of, it was in Russia, right? In Russia, it was very, 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 very difficult and dangerous to be a religious Jew. Very difficult and dangerous. And it was impossibly difficult and ridiculously dangerous to spread Judaism, to teach Judaism, to teach young children Judaism and Chabad, Hasidim. They did it. They did it. They made underground schools. They risked their lives. They got caught. They got killed. They got sent into Siberia. They died in Siberia. Nobody even knows where they're buried. And the Rebbe kept sending out more and more. The Rebbe himself got sent to prison. The Rebbe himself almost got killed. Right? And the tremendous self-sacrifice. So the Rebbe, amazing. You saw the Jews, the Chabad, especially when they were there in Russia, tremendous, incredible, ridiculous self-sacrifice for Torah and for the commandments and for this. But those same Jews, when they got out of Russia and they came to Israel or they came to England or they came to America, and there's no opposition, Torah mitzvahs. So the opposition went away as the self-sacrifice went away. So you think, well, of course it went away. What do you have to have self-sacrifice against who, right? Was it against imaginary windmills or something like that? There's no enemy. Why should we have self-sacrifice? Says the Rebbe, oh, yes, there is. What's the enemy? The enemy is ignorance, lack of education. If you see that there's one Jew in the world that doesn't know about what God is, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's not his fault. It's not the fault of the government. It's not the fault of the leftist, of the communist, the Zionist, of this. They're trying to strip away. That's the problem. What's the solution? The solution is you have to be positive. In order to be positive, you have to be self-sacrificing. Who is your enemy? Your enemy is yourself, your inaction, your desire to take it easy. You have to crush yourself. Now you have to have self-sacrifice from the essence of your soul, yechida. Yechida means that you want the whole world to be the way God wants it to be. And how do you fix it up? By being positive. By revealing the bad. These guys are bad. These guys are bad. Okay, maybe a little bit. You want to, so that people won't go in the wrong direction. Okay, but you have to show something better. You have to show something better. Hakashura umakabelet bechinat yachid. That's what's called the essence of the Jewish soul, which is above the whole order of creation. This makes the joining of two opposites together. Rotze, wanting to come close to God, wanting to be nearer to the truth and to leave this false world. And at the same time, Shuv coming back into this false world and making it true. To bring the truth into the world. How do you bring the truth into the world? By Torah and mitzvahs and being a nice, positive, brave, assertive, kind person. How do you make all these things together? Because it's God's world, it's not your world. And once you decide that you want to fix up the world, and the only way to do it is through the godliness in the Torah, that's called total surrender, and you can unite all opposites together. Sha'orot al-yoni, these high lights of God, can be drawn down into vessels. According to this, now we can understand the connection of Tazria Matzora, which is Tazria, giving seed. That's called the redemption. And Matzora and the exile, we can understand how they're put together. If you remember, do you remember what we said in the beginning on this? There was 2 days ago, 3 days ago. What day is today? Today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. So we said 3 days previously. What did we say? That when these two Torah portions are joined together, Tazria, Matzora, so the whole thing is just filled with contradictions. Everything contradicts everything else. Tazria is a good name. A woman gives birth. Matzora is a bad name. That's talking about exile, leprosy. But here we have Tazria, the good thing, the giving birth is first, and after that is leprosy. Doesn't make any sense. First of all is the disease, and then there's the cure. Here we have these Torah portions. First of all, there's the cure, Tazria, and then there's the disease afterwards. Then says the Rebbe, there's even a bigger contradiction. The name of the first Torah portion we read this Shabbat is Tazria. It's good, giving birth, but the whole entire content of it that comes afterwards is talking about the disease. There's a wonderful name and a terrible content. And the second Torah portion we read, Matzora, has a terrible name, leprosy, but the content is how the Matzora becomes pure, a good content. So the first has a good name with a bad content, and the second has a bad name, Matzora, with a good content. So everything is all mixed up. And it seems also that the good comes before the bad. It's supposed to be the other way around. Bad comes before the good. Okay. Says now we can understand the connection, what we just said, with the Geula, the future redemption, and the Golos and exile with Tazria Matzora. The whole idea of this leprosy we talked about in Tazria and its refinement in Matzora. Even since that the future redemption is revelation of the true identity of the exile. What do we say is exile? The whole idea of the exile is that it should come to make us realize the essence of what is the exile. Like we said, Tahor, like the purification, the cleansing, the cure of the Metzora. Right? Like the story I told you, right? The real reason for pain is to show us that something is wrong, to fix it up, to bring us to health. The same thing, the reason we're in exile is to show what's the source of the exile is God's love for us. He wants to show us something is wrong. That's therefore, after, first of all, the general preface, that's Isha Kitazriya, a woman when she gives birth. This is hinted at what the whole theme of why there is exile. Why is there exile? The whole theme of it is Isha Kitazriya, giving birth, that by means of the exile, we reach the true reason for the exile, Geula, the true purpose of why this world was created. There'll be a true redemption, a revelation of God, that afterwards there won't be any exile. That's what Adam was supposed to have done. God put Adam in the world to fix up the world so the world would be perfect. There wouldn't be any death. There wouldn't be any disease. There wouldn't be any difficulties, no addictions or wars or famines. That's what Adam was supposed to have done to make a good world. That's the general theme of existence. It's good. God is good. The world is good. People are good. That's the theme. We have to reveal it. But in fact, if it doesn't come out that way, then the exile is to show us that something is wrong and that there is something right, correct, true, concealed under this wrong. You come to all the details in the Torah portion. What are the portion? Isha Tazriya, that's redemption, is talking about the whole idea of why there is exile. Therefore, the first Torah portion, which is the general theme, giving birth, the content of it is exile. It's coming to show that the general theme of the exile is good. Since that the Negoim, since that the bad things in the world, they're really tremendously high lights and revelations of God, warning signs to tell us that something is true, is being hidden. Therefore, Gam Achre, after the descent into this world, it's only external. It's only just on the external, on the skin. And the true underlying good will be redeemed in the Geula and the redemption, which we said that the redemption means just doing a little bit more good, and all of a sudden the bad will disappear. Ubaparsha, that's in the first Torah portion, Tazriya. Tazriya tells us that the world is good, giving birth. The content is bad, to show that that bad that comes after this theme of good is only external. It's just concealing over the good a little bit. That's the first Torah portion. The second Torah portion, which is Metzora, that's what it's talking about, exile, is talking about the purification after we do take the bad of the world and we correct it. Geula, since that the purification, the healing of all of this sickness of the exile in the world, this is by means of revealing the true purpose of why the exile is here. Why is it here? As a sign, a wake-up call. Hainu Shetokna, the whole content and the meaning of this exile is redemption. Namely, taking this physical, terrible, disgusting world and transforming the whole thing. Have showed that there is taken away the possibility of anything opposite. Since these high lights of God will be drawn down below. That's the idea of the Geula and eternal redemption, that there won't be any exile after it. I mean, it's something like, I can give you an example. It's something like, I dealt a while I took courses and with people that were addicts. alcoholism is like, I guess maybe the most popular addiction. I don't know, but there's all these drugs and everything. Okay, when the way that people get out of this addictions, there's a lot of different systems and methods and things like that. But the one way is by realizing there's something above me. I have to give all my problems come because I want to control everything. So they say, you want to stop drinking, be strong. Being strong, that's the problem. Because I want to be strong and I want to control everything, and I can't. So therefore, I how do you say, I go into self-destruct, take drugs, things like that. But as soon as you realize that the world is not your world and there's a higher power in this thing, it doesn't make any difference what the higher power is. It can be even idolatry, because the whole goal is just to stop drinking and stuff. But ideally, that's like, how do you say, stopping points, if you want to call it. But here we're talking about true health. What is true health? Once a person realizes that you're in the world not to be an addict, not to be an alcoholic. That's not why you're here. That's not why you're here. You're here because you're a human being and you have good potential. You could do something that's positive, and that'll give you more self-satisfaction than all of the drinks and all the drugs and everything you can possibly take. Once you realize this good, you'll never go back to being an addict again. If you really realize it, then all the difficulties in the world, you realize they're just covering up your own good, which is inside of you. That's what the Rebbe is trying to do, heal the world. The whole exile that we're in now, the whole terrible egotism and destruction and desire for self-destruction that's going on in the world, right? It's just covering over. It's just a veneer. It's covering over, but it's sending us a warning sign to tell us to stop going in the direction we're going and to start thinking a little bit about what's above us. We're here for a purpose. And that's the idea of Moshiach, to let everyone know we are creations. God is creating us. God loves us, and he's giving everyone a unique personality and a unique purpose in the world. It can be, your purpose in the world is just to say good morning to people. That improves the world. And we can also, that's the idea of this week's Torah portion that we read in Mincha, that Achrei Mot Kedoshim, that we're going to read on Shabbat in the Mincha prayer, Achrei Mot Kedoshim. Okay, so what have we explained right now? The world is good. Man is good. God is good. That's the theme, Tazria. But if we don't act properly, it gets temporarily concealed, and God sends us exile. That's the content of Tazria. But afterwards, we fix everything up. That's Metzora. That's the disease. We fix it up. It becomes the healing of the Metzora. Then this physical world, instead of being a disease, suddenly becomes revealed. It's a wonderful thing. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. The world, we reveal the good that's in the world, and the good that's in man, and the good that's in God. We reveal it. That's why it comes, first of all, good, then bad, Tazria, and the content of Tazria is bad. And then Metzora, that content, which is bad, becomes the healing of the Metzora, becomes good. This also can connect to what we read in Mincha prayer of Shabbat. Okay, just one little thing. What's the point that the Rebbe is trying to bring? Do good. And the only good is according to the Torah. And the only good, which is according to the Torah, is feeling the godliness of the Torah. And that is the cure. That's the magic medicine which will cure the world, the whole world. Little by little, but nevertheless, you can't drive away darkness with a stick, with more darkness. You can only do it by good. Make a little tiny light that encourages other people to make light, and suddenly you realize that the world is really a good place. Parshat Achrei, that's this week's Torah portion, Achrei. Shabbat, that in it is said the commandment and the warning and Achrei that there shouldn't be going away without coming back. That was the sons of Aaron. Remember, we learned last week, Parshat Shmini. There were two sons of Aaron. On the day that the holy temple, the tabernacle, opened up, before anyone could get in there and make the sacrifices, they ran in. They just wanted to come close to God. They didn't care about anything. They were not prepared. They were not dressed properly. They didn't ask anyone's permission. They just ran in there and they died. And so why did they die? It was a terrible thing. It was a bad thing. It destroyed the whole joy of the day. So Moses came and Moshe said, what they did was a terrible thing, true, but I'm not going to say that. What they did, let's look at the good part of it. They did a wonderful thing. They were so, and you say, excited about coming close to God that they threw away all caution to the winds. They just wanted to come close to God. That you should do also. You should have that desire to come close to God. Okay, they did it improperly. Good. Okay, they did it improperly. That wasn't, let's not look at that. Don't repeat that. We don't have to go into that. Everybody knows it was bad. God killed them, sent 2 streams of fire and killed them. Everybody knows it was bad. But let's look at the good part of it. The good part of it is you want to come close to God. You should be so excited and wanting to come close to God. That's good. The bad part of it is that they didn't want to come back. And in fact, they didn't come back. The 2 sons of Aaron. Says that's the idea of Negayim. Negayim, this leprosy means exactly that. You want to do what you want to do. Even if you want to do is a good thing, coming close to God. But it's because it's only one half of the picture, so it comes out to be bad. That's this next week's Torah portion. It's called Acharei Mot, after the death of the 2 sons. After they showed that it was a wrong thing just to want to come close to God and not being in the world. Then afterwards, now we can fix up this by means of coming back into the world. Until Chaim Nitzchim, until there will be eternal physical life in this physical world. That's where Adam was supposed to be. He was supposed to have lived physically in this world. In regarding to our generation, that life can be eternal with no delay, no death whatsoever. There'll be life in the physical body in a way that the soul will actually be nourished from the body. This is incomprehensible now. No, a dead body, you got to bury it. Start smelling. It's terrible. In the future, it's going to be the opposite. Going to heaven, who wants to go to heaven? That's awful. Who wants to go to heaven? Right? The main thing is to be in this world. Heaven is going to be stinky. So heaven is like a selfish thing. I get pleasure. I want to go to heaven. Who wants to go to? I want to be in this world and give God pleasure. This is God's world. This is the idea of joining Ratzav V'Shov, wanting to be coming close to God and doing it in this world, that the highest lights of God will be revealed into this physical world. And this is because of this tremendously high level, which is higher than both of them, higher than holiness and higher than physicality. That's the second Torah portion we read next week. There's also a double portion. Acharei Mot Kedoshim. Kedoshim means that it's called the commandment of being holy in this physical world. It says you should be holy because I'm holy. That the Jewish people in this physical world, then it's relevant that they should be holy, maybe to be separate from the world, but at the same time that the Jews are in the world and they're separate from the world, they will be holy. What does it mean? The holy, highest, holiest level of godliness in the physical world, like it says, Yochel Kamoni, that you can be like me. That's what it says. The Jewish people are the sons of God. Now, what does that mean? Who knows what it means? Who knows what God is? But that's the way the world is going to be. That's what was revealed in the Holy of Holies. And the whole world will be like Holy of Holies. Talmud Lomer, it says, Ki Kadosh Ani, that you can be holy like me because I am holy, says God. Kapirush, like it says in Chassidut, Yochel Kamoni Benichuta, that you can be like God. That every single Jew can be, so to speak, the level of the holiness of God. So that which we say that every human being is essentially good, we have no idea how good that is. And that's the whole idea of the Moshiach. And that's why the name of the Moshiach that's going to reveal, redeem, and wake up all the Jewish people, the Moshiach is called a leper. Mitzorah. We talked about that before. The Moshiach is called the leper in the house of Rebbe. It says Moshiach is sitting among all of the other poor lepers, and he is suffering in their sickness. They are sick, and he's also sick. Moshiach. Moshiach is found in the world, in time, and in the place of exile, and a way of exile. And the Moshiach suffers the sufferings of exile. Like it says in the Gemara, Omer Rebbe, Rav said, Imin achayim hu kagon Rabbeinu HaKodesh. And it says in the Gemara that if the Mashiach comes from the dead, then he's going to be like Daniel. If the Mashiach is going to come from the living, then he's going to be like Rabbeinu HaKodesh. Why? Because Rabbeinu HaKodesh, Rebbe Yehuda Anasi, he had all the qualifications of Mashiach. Why? Because if the Mashiach is from those people who are alive now, then it's going to be like Rebbe. Why Rabbeinu HaKodesh, holy Rebbe Yehuda Anasi? Because Sovil Chaloim v'Chasid Gamor Hoya. He was terribly suffering, and nevertheless he still was totally connected to God, like King David. That he is waiting with impatiently for the future redemption to be revealed, to be concealed in the time of exile. The Melech HaMashiach is going to redeem all the Jewish people in a true redemption, which there's not after it any exile. Like it says in the Rambam, the Melech is going to come from the house of King David. The Maimonides has all the qualifications and criteria of Mashiach. So if so, what are we saying? Why is the Mashiach called a leper? Because he is also suffering in the fact that he's not doing enough good, Mashiach, that he is, Mashiach himself is not doing enough good to remove the ignorance of the Jewish people. Therefore, the Mashiach is suffering together with the Jewish people. We can see the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He didn't go to sleep. It was day and night was just bombarded with all the problems of all the Jews. Everybody was writing to him, and that there was, in those days there was the fax was the most, how do you say, efficient way of communication, of writing letters. So he received like thousands of faxes every day and letters. He was bombarded. And he gave Torah, and the man never slept. I don't know when he had time to eat. And every single problem of every Jew, he took to heart, and he took it personally. Every single person. And that's what it was with all the Rebbes of Chabad. And that's what the way is all of the great leaders of the Jewish people. They are suffering in exile. King David was the example. But the point of the matter is that by doing more good, that wakes us up, and will wake up the whole world. And the whole exile is just a wake-up call to tell us that we must do more good, say more good, think more good. And if we do so, then that's what Mashiach is going to, that's what the Rebbe is doing to us right now. We're reading the words of the Rebbe. He's waking us up. All the Jewish people. And that's especially signified by this week's Torah portion, Tazria and Metzora, as we just finished learning. Okay.